Let's get right into it. Number 10. The Calm Gap. You're at the beach looking for a safe place to swim. You spot a stretch of dark, perfectly calm water right between the crashing white waves. It looks like the ideal spot to wade in. In reality, it is the most dangerous place you could possibly stand. That calm patch isn't a safe zone, it's the exhaust pipe of the ocean. According to NOAA, this deceptive gap is a rip current, and it accounts for over 80% of all beach rescues. Here is what is happening under the surface. When crashing waves push massive amounts of water over sandbars onto the shore, that water has to flow back out. It channels into the deepest, narrowest gaps between the sandbars. The reason there are no white caps in that dark spot is because the water there is rushing in the exact opposite direction. It is essentially a high-speed aquatic treadmill. It can pull you out to sea at 8 feet per second, which is faster than an Olympic swimmer at a full sprint. If you get caught, your instinct will be to swim straight back to the sand. You will lose that fight. Don't run against the treadmill. Step off the side by swimming parallel to the shore. Number 9. The Curved Forest. If you are ever hiking in the hills and notice the pine trees don't grow straight up, pay close attention. The bottoms of their trunks might curve deeply, looking like a J or the grip of a pistol. Most people assume they were just permanently bent by strong winds when they were saplings, but if the trees on a steep slope share that exact same uniform curve, it isn't the wind. According to the USGS, it is a warning sign called soil creep. The entire top layer of the hillside is actively sliding downward. Because the trees naturally want to reach straight up toward the sun, they constantly adjust their angle. It is exactly like trying to stand up straight while riding a slow-moving downward escalator. Over the years, that constant physical correction creates the permanent bend. This creep might only move at fractions of an inch per year, but it proves the earth beneath you is structurally compromised. It is a massive red flag that precedes sudden, catastrophic landslides capable of tearing down the hill at over 30 miles per hour. The mountain isn't stationary. It is just falling in slow motion. Number 8. The Winter Whump. Picture a perfect, freezing afternoon out in the backcountry. You are skiing or snowshoeing through untouched powder, and the landscape is completely, beautifully silent. Then, you take one step forward, and the silence breaks. You hear a deep, bass-heavy whump that vibrates through your boots, and the snowpack drops just a fraction of an inch. Your brain assumes the snow is simply settling harmlessly under your weight, but according to avalanche experts, that hollow sound is one of the most terrifying warnings in nature. It means the floor is dropping out from under you. You just triggered the localized collapse of a hidden, fragile layer of ice crystals buried deep inside the snowpack. Imagine a heavy textbook resting on a layer of delicate potato chips. Your footstep just crushed the chips, and that whump is the heavy book slamming down onto the table. As the trapped air is violently forced out, a structural fracture shoots across the mountain at over 200 miles per hour. If you happen to be standing on a slope steeper than 30 degrees, that single step can instantly bring down 1,000,000 tons of snow. That wasn't the sound of the winter woods settling. That was the sound of the trigger being pulled. Number 7. The Disappearing Scent. You are hiking near a volcanic hot spring or working near an industrial site, and the air suddenly reeks of harsh, rotten eggs. But just a few minutes later, the air smells completely clean. You naturally assume the wind shifted, and the danger has passed. In reality, your own biology is actively betraying you. That awful rotten egg scent is hydrogen sulfide. According to the CDC and OSHA, this specific gas has a highly lethal stealth feature. When the toxic concentration in the air crosses about 100 to 150 parts per million, the chemical rapidly paralyzes your olfactory nerve. The lethal cloud hasn't cleared out of the area at all. You have just lost your physical ability to smell it, right before the gas begins to shut down your respiratory system. It is exactly like someone cutting the communication wire to a fire alarm. The siren didn't stop because the fire was put out. It stopped because the battery was violently removed. At concentrations around 500 to 700 parts per million, hydrogen sulfide can induce a coma in minutes. So if that horrible scent suddenly vanishes into thin air, do not take a deep breath of relief. The disappearance of the smell is your final warning to run. Number 6. The Breathing Door. The fire alarm is blaring. You are rushing down a hallway to evacuate a burning building, and you stop in front of a closed door. You look down at the gap underneath the frame to check for danger. You would normally expect to see thick, dark smoke billowing out toward your feet, but here is the terrifying twist. The smoke in the hallway is actually being sucked backward, under the door, and into the room. And if you listen closely, you will hear a sharp, whistling vacuum sound. Do not touch the handle. According to fire dynamics experts, the room behind that door is starving. A blaze inside has consumed all the available oxygen and died down to a smolder, leaving the sealed space entirely packed with superheated, unburned gases exceeding 1100 degrees Fahrenheit. Because the fire is choking, it creates a severe negative pressure zone, desperately pulling fresh air through any tiny crack it can find. That room is essentially a loaded bomb, missing a single trigger. If you swing that door wide open, a massive wave of oxygen floods inside. Those superheated gases will instantly ignite in a highly lethal explosion known as a backdraft. That whistling sound is the room taking a deep inhale before a scream. The fire isn't dead, it is just holding its breath. Number 5. The hair-raising static. You are outdoors as a heavy storm rolls in. Suddenly, the air tastes sharply metallic, and the hair on your arms and head stands straight up. It feels like a funny burst of static electricity. Maybe something you would point out to a friend. But this isn't a harmless quirk of the weather. Your body has just become an active targeting laser for a lightning bolt. According to the National Weather Service, a storm cloud drops an invisible negative charge toward the Earth, called a stepped leader. To complete the electrical circuit, the ground responds by sending up positive streamers. Because your body is full of salt water, you make a spectacular conductor. Your hair isn't just floating in the wind. It is literally reaching up into the sky, acting like a spark plug, desperately trying to connect those two wires. You are essentially being painted by a sniper's laser. You have anywhere from a fraction of a second to exactly 3 seconds before 300 million volts try to use you as a shortcut to the dirt. You cannot outrun light. If you ever feel that static lift, immediately drop into a tight crouch on the balls of your feet. Number 4. The Checkerboard Ocean. Looking out from a coastal cliff or a pier, you might see the surface of the ocean doing something that looks completely unnatural. The water forms a perfect, geometric grid of square waves. It is a stunning visual, and people often pull out their phones to film what looks like a computer glitch. But if you see this checkerboard pattern, you need to stay out of the water. Oceanographers call this a cross sea. It happens when two completely separate weather systems, often hundreds of miles apart, push waves at perpendicular angles. When those two distinct wave patterns intersect, they don't cancel each other out, they stack. While the surface looks like a mesmerizing grid, the water underneath becomes a chaotic washing machine with powerful currents pulling in opposite directions at the exact same time. Normally, if you are swimming, you dive head-on under an incoming wave. In a deep water cross sea, as you dive under one wave, another hits you directly in the side. The destructive force is so violently unpredictable that it can easily capsize large shipping vessels by slamming into their hulls at unengineered angles. The ocean is simply not meant to have corners. If you ever see them, admire the geometry from a safe distance. Number 3. The Empty Riverbed. You are camping down in a canyon next to a roaring mountain river. It is a clear, beautiful day. Over the course of about 10 minutes, you notice the roaring sound starts to fade. You look over, and the water level has drastically dropped, turning the powerful river into a quiet trickle. You haven't miraculously entered a flash drought. The river isn't disappearing, it is winding up a punch. According to the National Weather Service, a sudden drop in a fast-flowing river means a massive landslide, ice jam, or debris flow has just collapsed into the water a few miles upstream. The normal flow of the river is now trapped behind a highly unstable, temporary wall of dirt, boulders, and logs. It is essentially kinking a massive, high-pressure garden hose. A vast reservoir of water is rapidly piling up behind that blockage. You might have less than 15 minutes before that temporary dam breaches under the immense weight. When it snaps, the entire backed-up volume of the river will blast down the canyon at once, carrying debris the size of cars. When a mountain river goes completely quiet, it is because the flood is gathering its strength. Run vertically, immediately. Number 2. The green sky. Imagine a severe thunderstorm is rolling in. The afternoon turns unnaturally dark, the howling wind completely dies down, and suddenly the entire sky takes on a sickly, bruised, yellowish-green hue. People might grab their phones and joke about an alien invasion, but this is actually a terrifying optical physics warning about sheer atmospheric mass. According to the National Severe Storms Laboratory, to get a green sky, you need the reddish-yellow light of a late afternoon sun to shine directly through the incredibly dense, blue core of a supercell thunderstorm. Mixing yellow sunlight with blue water droplets makes green. But it requires an apocalyptic volume of water to actually pull off the trick. You are essentially looking through a colossal stained glass window made entirely of suspended water and giant hail. A storm cloud dense enough to act as a color filter is actively carrying millions of tons of weight. While a green sky doesn't absolutely guarantee a tornado will drop, it perfectly guarantees the extreme atmospheric conditions required to spawn one, alongside highly destructive winds. The sky isn't just changing color. You are looking at a violent ocean suspended high in the air. Seek underground shelter immediately. Number 1. The Receding Tide. It is a pristine day at the beach, but then, the water starts moving backward at an impossible speed. Hundreds of yards of the seafloor are suddenly exposed, leaving fish flopping on the wet sand and revealing hidden reefs. Many people will walk out onto the seabed out of curiosity, snapping photos of this bizarre, extreme low tide. That is a fatal mistake. The ocean hasn't mysteriously vanished. It is actively building a weapon. According to the NOAA Tsunami Warning Center, a massive offshore earthquake has just displaced millions of cubic miles of water. Because a tsunami is a displacement of the entire water column, the negative part of the wave, the trough, often reaches the shore first. The ocean is effectively pulling water directly from your coastline to build the crest of the incoming wave. Think of it like pulling back the string of a massive bow. That receding water is the ocean physically drawing back the string. During the devastating 2004 Indian Ocean event, those who recognized this sign survived, while those who walked out onto the sand did not. Once the seabed is exposed, you have anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes before that borrowed water returns. It will not look like a normal wave. It will come back as a solid, churning wall of ocean moving at the speed of a commercial jet. The ocean does not give gifts. If it hands you free seabed, do not wait for confirmation. Run for high ground immediately.